Number 1. Vertimax provides the top vertical gains of any system because it's the only system designed to maximize both leg power and arm swing velocity to fully develop critical components that contribute to vertical lift. And that's important because arm swing velocity at takeoff accounts for 10 to 13% of vertical jump performance, and it can't be ignored if an athlete wants to develop their full vertical jump potential. Vertimax is the only athletic training system that accounts for this critical fact. Number 2, the Vertimax V8 is the only system in the world that can develop power in the leg drive and swing phase simultaneously for maximum linear and lateral speed gains. Its patented ability to connect resistance bands to the waist and both feet simultaneously deliver the most efficient, off-the-chart power developments possible in all phases of acceleration. It doesn't matter if one foot is on the ground driving and the other is in the air accelerating to the next step. The muscles driving both legs have dynamic loads applied on or off the ground. No other training system has this critical speed development capability. If you're running around with an elastic band tied between you and another athlete, or even worse, an elastic band tied between your ankles, compared to the V8, your speed training is about as efficient as trying to create fire by rubbing two sticks together. The V8 provides revolutionary training technology that takes speed training to a whole new level. Number 3 is Vertimax's ability to more effectively develop power sooner in any explosive movement to maximize acceleration and velocity. Vertimax resistance bands fully retract into the system, which means they never go slack and always provide a useful training resistance when you initiate the explosive rep. In these side-by-side comparisons, let's look at how Vertimax is superior for front-end power development. In the coiled position for vertical jump training, Vertimax bands retract and can't go slack, keeping the full load applied in the squatted position. Resistance from conventional elastics on the right will radically drop off as the athlete dips into the squatted position because there's no means to remove the slack as the two cord ends approach each other. Let's look at hip flexor training. Once again, Vertimax bands fully load the hip flexor before it even begins the explosive contraction. Conventional bands tied between the ankles won't apply 1 ounce of load to the hip flexor at the start of the explosive movement because that band will be completely slack every time you begin a high knee drive. With no useful load at the start, you're tossing away potential power gains for acceleration. When it comes to lateral speed training, Vertimax's waist and individual foot bands can maintain constant drive and swing phase resistance on every relevant muscle in both legs moving in any direction. That conventional shuffle drill with ankle bands can't apply an ounce of force to either leg if your feet are less than shoulder width apart, and when it does, it only loads one muscle, the abductor, period. Vertimax is simply a smarter, more effective way to radically increase power from the very start right through the end of any explosive movement. And that's just one more reason Vertimax delivers superior vertical and speed gains that conventional elastics can't touch. Number 4. The Vertimax design allows athletes to achieve higher training velocities to more effectively develop power at high speeds, or what I'm going to refer to as speed strength. If you want to develop power at higher velocities, you have to train with resistance at higher velocities. The problem with conventional elastic bands is that they're typically short, so when an athlete performs an explosive movement and begins stretching those short bands, the resistance will radically increase, which basically slams on the brakes when the athlete is trying to accelerate, and that's not something you want if you're trying to develop speed strength. Vertimax solves this problem by utilizing really long elastic bands on pulley systems, so relatively speaking, you're stretching a long band a little instead of a short band a lot. Because of the long bands, the resistance you start with won't radically increase as you progress through your explosive movement, so athletes can continue to accelerate right through the explosive movement, achieving higher training velocities, and that's going to more effectively develop speed strength. Number 5. Vertimax has patented balance control mechanisms that help stabilize athletes so they can train closer to 100% effort and achieve superior power development results. Why is balance and stability important? Remember, the best way to develop explosive power is to train explosively with 100% effort. Anyone who has ever tried to jump with 100% effort when they were off balance knows your brain and physics won't allow it. You need stability to train explosively with 100% effort. Vertimax's tracking system allows resistance bands to physically shift with the athlete's position to keep the resistance pulling downward just like gravity. Conventional systems that tie resistance bands to a fixed point will inherently destabilize the athletes if they drift off center because the band will pull from an angle instead of straight down. Also, since gravity doesn't radically change when we jump, we want to avoid systems that use short elastic bands, which causes resistance to radically change when the athlete moves. The V8 routes 150 feet of elastic bands and pulley systems, so once resistance is set to the desired level, the athlete won't detect any change in resistance during the complete jumping movement, just like gravity. Stable gravity is what we're accustomed to, and that's exactly what Vertimax simulates to allow 100% explosive effort for superior power development. Number 6 is the ability to reconfigure the V8 into thousands of sport-specific training configurations. With the ability to relocate the 4 topside bands to hundreds of locations around the perimeter of the mat, athletes have the ability to quickly configure the V8 into thousands of sport-specific training configurations on or off the platform to improve athletic performance in virtually any sport. And number 7 is adjustable resistance settings. The Vertimax V8 gives you the ability to adjust the resistance setting on each of the 8 bands routed in the system by extracting or retracting the bands through their individual cam mechanism, which automatically locks the cord in place after the resistance adjustment is made. This unique feature provides a wide range of resistance settings from 2 to 200 pounds that allows the same V8 system to accommodate an NBA or NFL superstar right down to an 8-year-old athlete.